Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Rugby Recap. It is myself, and you will notice the man next to me is not Tim, also known as Rugby Itch. Instead, we have got Tony, same letter, different name. Distracted Sports has come on the channel, as Tim is currently in Hong Kong, actually at the Sevens that has taken place. So he is not here, obviously. Yeah, I guess save some tickets for the rest of us, isn't it? But
Yeah, come on.
it's myself, and it is Distracted Sports, also known as Tony, his second appearance on the podcast. How are you doing, mate? Hope you're excited.
Back again. Look, I've got to say, Hamish, that is the best intro to the rugby recap I have ever seen. What you really smashed it out of the park. That was outrageously good. Boy, oh boy.
You do know that's my first ever intro, and Tim's done every single other one.
You just popped your intro virginity.
And I enjoyed it. But we're going to be looking through at Super Rugby. We're going to be looking at the Sevens. And we're going to be having, hopefully, a good time while doing it. Although just talking about my virginity sounds like we're going in a different direction. But first of all, mate,
we can talk about that if you like. We could talk about virginity.
We couldn't, you know.
You can be fine. I thought this was like a bowls podcast. I know it says the Rugby Recap, but I thought that was like an ironic name because it was like a hardcore bowls podcast. So I came in with all my bowls hot takes. We're going to talk about bowls at any stage.
I mean, my mum plays bowls, so she'd probably help us out a little bit too.
Yeah, right.
You look like the kind of guy who would go down on a Friday and have a roll up, Tony. Is that correct?
Love a roll. Love a roll. You know what I've been playing a lot of recently, Hame Dog? H-Dog, if you don't mind me calling you that.
That's all right.
I've been playing quite a bit of golf. Got the old golf bug at the moment. Jeez, I really do. You like your golf, don't you?
I do enjoy some golf, although I haven't played in a while. Before the World Cup happened, I was pretty much out there every week, and then the World Cup completely destroyed the sleep schedule, and now I've hardly played. But we'll have to get out there on the golf course at some stage, do a haggle perhaps, play for some bevies, and have a fun time.
Let's just team up and play Ambrose, and we can try and break par around a course or something. You know, that would be exciting. Although
that sounds like a good video.
I suck dog shit at golf, so I'm very much a beginner. But what do you kind of go around in?
See, I got to a stage how, I was shooting early 90s, which I know isn't the greatest, but before that, I was getting there. But, it was more of the case of I could chip, I could putt, but I couldn't get the second shot right. So my drive would go all right, and then that next shot there, the approach shot just went down.
You know what I find hard? I find like the old 3-wood a bit of a tricky beast. You know, like when you're over 200 meters out and you 3-woods, like the high, some of the hybrids and like the low irons and stuff. I'm not really there for the low irons. Who hits a 2? Who hits a 3? Don't want to hit that. They're tough. They're tough to hit. You know. Jeez, I'm glad I came on this golf podcast.
This has become a golf podcast. Yeah. Everyone who was here for the rugby will be like, this isn't what we signed up for. But if you enjoy golf,
what's your favorite club? What's your favorite club?
Tell you what, I do enjoy a 5-iron. Just because you get a nice scoop underneath it. Like, not too much, but, you get around that 150 mark.
Yes.
And, it's just a nice pickup overall as an iron.
Very nice.
I quite enjoy my pitcher as well.
I love a pitching wedge. I'm partial to a sand wedge, a gap wedge, and a pitching wedge. I really do like that. I like getting myself into tricky spots where I've got to get over trees. Like I'll do 10 terrible shots on a hole, and then I'll just do one incredible flop shot over a tree and be happy with my 11 that I've walked away on my par 3. That's
you gotta take the little things though and enjoy them. That's the thing with golf. You're in a competition with yourself. And, no one else saw those 11 shots, so you just kind of...
Just tell everyone about my incredible flop shot, That's... You like to flop one in from time to time, Hamish?
I don't mind flopping every once in a while. I feel like you've changed the nickname like 4 times. But we better get on to some rugby.
Rugby.
We could go all day.
Rugby.
So, Super Rugby Pacific, we're up to round 7 of the competition. Of course, there are 4 teams with byes this week. And one of them, yes, there is. And one of them is not the Blues. They are playing in the opening contest. They will be going head-to-head with the Western Force. Now, that game is at Eden Park. So that is actually 3 Eden Park games in a row for the Blues, even though they have won away to Moana Pacific.
That's right. That was a bit odd, wasn't it? playing the old Moana Pacifica at an away fixture. That would have been very weird for the players because I presume they would have had to go into the away sheds and all that sort of jazz, playing in the away strip. But the fans are still out there. What time's that game?
That is 7:05 on Friday night.
Oh, nice. Against the Force, we should dust them. Let's be honest. Come on. It's the Force. Although the Force, I was amazed. They got a victory over the bloody Reds a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? Is that correct?
That is correct, yep.
And the Reds were looking outstanding up until that point throughout the season. And then the Reds have, followed up with another loss. I know to the Brumbies, which are probably the other powerhouse of Australian rugby. But the fact that they lost to the Force and now have lost to... you asked me about the bloody Blues and the Force, and here I am talking about the Reds. But I don't care. You know who I like the look of? Mick Wright. Mick Wright is Mick Wright with me. I tell you, he's a hell of a player, isn't he?
Yeah, their whole loose forward trio as well, like Harry Wilson. We were talking about it earlier on, myself and Tim. Of course, we were looking through at the top 5 number 8s, and he's already got 5 try assists this season.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and then when you look at those other numbers, McWright as well, getting the turnovers and the breakdown, like that clearly could be an option for Joe Schmidt if he wanted to go with an all Reds loose forward trio, although some good players for the other sides as well. I mean, the Brumbies, I'll be honest, this is a hot take. Valentini, I feel like, hasn't quite been doing great in terms of stats. Like, he's still a dangerous ball runner, but the man only makes like 6 tackles a game. And I feel like that is something that's a little bit concerning for them.
This might be a bit before your time, but I think he might be a bit Frank Bunsey. And what I mean by
Isn't that the bloke off the Comedy Central?
Frank Bunt?
Yeah.
No.
Betty,
Frank
Betty. Who's that? You know the one who goes, Betty. Betty.
Oh, you
Betty.
mean Frank Spencer? Oh, yeah, that guy. Yeah, no, we're not talking about Frank Spencer.
No, we're talking about this. Yeah, wrong one. Sorry. Yeah,
Frank Bunt was a great midfielder and had a midfield pairing. Walter Little, great harbour man. But towards the end of his career, he struggled to get up for like the Super Rugby games. Didn't play that well, and everyone was saying drop him. And then he'd come out and just play blinders in the big games and the test matches. So I think there are players like that who struggle week to week in the grind. But when you want a big player, a big body to make a big impact on a big stage, Valentini's your bad. That's my take. What's yours?
I like the radio voice transition at the end. I think you're probably correct there in terms of the big games are the ones that we see him step up. For the Brumbies as well this year, we've seen the youngster Charlie Cale break onto the scene. He looks like he's going to be a really talented option. I just realised we talked all about the Reds, we talked all about the Brumbies. The Western Force are playing the Blues here, and they're probably, they are up against it. They've had a tough start,
It's a nothing game. Like, this is my big problem with Super Rugby at the moment is, can I swear?
You already have twice.
For fuck's sake. There shouldn't be 8 teams that get through the fucking pools. Pardon my language, I needed to do it. It had to happen. It had to happen. The fact that there are 12 teams and 2 of the shittiest teams at the end of the table get through on a losing record. So that it takes all the grandeur and excitement out of the fixtures. So this fixture is it's an absolute plopper of a pooper. Like, who gives a rat's ass? Like, the Blues are going to win, but even if they did get a banana peel, they're still going to get through to the bloody the finals. Sorry, that's my theme on Super Rugby this year. I'm really not a fan of 8 teams getting through. Make it 6. I prefer 6 is okay. 4 is a bit tight, maybe 4, 5, or 6. That's what I'd be looking for.
See, 6 works a little bit in a way because you could have top 2 qualifiers miss the first round, and then you have 2 playoff games, then you go into the semis, and then you go into that final. But because the Crusaders, like, they are one of the teams here. If they win the competition, I agree with you big time. Like, they've had the worst start that they ever could have to a Super Rugby competition. If they're in the top 8, qualifying 8th, they are still theoretically in a very good chance of being able to walk away with the title.
I will rip my own testicles off. That's not an official quote. That did come from my mouth.
Can we shake on that?
No, well, it's not. I'm not shaking my nuts with anything. But like, it will piss me off beyond belief if they win another year. I will punch myself in the nuts. How's that? I won't
That
rip them
sounds
off.
good.
But like, you're right. But they should be in a situation now after going 5 losses in a row. Good on them for getting their first win. They should be in a situation now where it's do or die. Like every week is do or die. They have to win the rest of their games to make it to squeak in somehow. But they're not. They've still got losses in the bank. So if they're still going to comfortably make it. It's ridiculous. Like the likes of the Force and the Rebels have been playing a little bit better this year. The Moana Pacifica aren't going to make it.
No.
Yeah, the Drua. I think the Drua could sneak through. They're making Fiji a bit of a fortress, which is really great to see. But who are the teams that are not going to make it for you?
I think that Moana Pacifica, I believe, will miss out. Same with the Force. Yeah. I think that the Rebels, as the season wears on, they might miss out, although they've been pulling off some good victories early, which I think is massive for them.
The Rebels and the Force.
But the problem is they're only beating Australian sides. So, like, until they start beating those New Zealand sides, that's already a top 5 pretty much worked out, with the exception of maybe the Crusaders and the Highlanders this year. But
I think the Highlanders will squeak it.
I think so. And the Fijian draw, I would hate to see them miss out just because they are such an entertaining side. But the problem is, no matter what from here, pretty much they will have an away quarterfinal. And we kind of saw the big difference between a home and away game for them last year.
Yeah, totally. I was in Fiji about a month ago, just that, the week that they bet the Crusaders. And it was, I played golf over there, and we played golf in 36-degree temperatures. Little 9-holer. There was no, it was mainly par 3s and par 4s, no par 5s. But it was good fun. But it was bloody 36 degrees. It was like playing in a desert. It was like the tropical oasis, but it's just, you're just dripping with sweat. And like, I was like, and we went to the get our tea time and all that sort of thing. And the lady looked at us like, you guys are trying to go play golf in this weather. Can't say that word. Bleep it.
No, I don't believe it.
You're trying to go play golf in this weather, and then I came back. I didn't even realize the Crusaders were playing that week, and I was like, no wonder they lost. Human beings aren't meant to play rugby in that weather. It is such an advantage. Like, they're playing in 36, 37-degree temperature. It's summer. It's their hot season. People don't really spend that much time in Fiji this time of year at the moment. It's stinking hot. And they've grown up in this heat. They're acclimatized to it. And they've got that crowd behind them. It's a hell of an effort to get a victory over there. I don't care who you are. Like the fact that the Crusaders lost that game, the fact they lost that game, I think that was acceptable. The big loss that they've had this year that I thought was like, whoa, that's a head scratcher, was the Waratahs loss. That was an odd one.
And that was early on as well. And I know that there's been a lot of people saying Scott Robinson leaving is the reason for that. But when you look through their list of players that are unavailable this year, like, you can almost make an All Blacks 15 of players that are no longer at the Crusaders. So it does make it very tricky when you see those players missing, but they've still got that Crusaders mentality, and they've still got the talent, I believe, to be a top contender in the competition. Maybe they're not as well known. The likes of Jamie Hanna, who I think has really stepped up this season for the Satyrs, and most people wouldn't have even known that man's name last year. So, I think that they've still got the talent there. It's just, it's taken a few weeks for them to finally find that chemistry, because up against New Zealand sides, even when they've been defeated, with the exception of that Blues game, they've kept it very close, and they've shown that they are still able to compete.
They looked hapless against the Blues. They really did.
I don't think. Do you think the Blues should have got the bonus point in that game with how bad the Crusaders looked?
Yeah, I think they probably should have. But the fact that that we're playing the Crusaders and they've got that mental stigma against us, I think that was a big part of just what we stumbled over. And just the fact we got I was happy with the victory. There were a lot of people bagging the Blues performance. I was like, hold on, like, this is the bloody Crusaders we're beating here. Like, my big thing for them, like, the Blues in the past have had great attacking teams and great players, but never had a number 10. I think when you're going from Richie Mo'unga to Hohepa, that's a giant. No offense to Hohepa, he's probably a very handy NPC player, but just not this. And he can probably scratch by for a few games at this level. but he's not going to lead a team to a Super Rugby championship. But he'll definitely lead them to a top 8 finish. Top 8 finish. It's not the NRL. It's ridiculous. Up the wires.
Up the wires.
Up the wires. What was your question?
I can't even remember. It was going to be transitioning to the Fijian Drua being away from home, but they are up against the Rebels. So a bit of an intriguing game, because some would say probably the easiest away fixture, but still not very easy, because the Melbourne Rebels, don't get me wrong, they don't get a huge attendance to their games. I actually think they'll get a better attendance because they are playing the Fijian Drua. But do you feel like they can do enough? Like, they've got a good lineup, and they've shown it this year that they are an attacking side compared to last year, where they were more likely to go for those 3-pointers. I feel like the loss of Matt Tamua actually helped them a little bit, because he looked like he was happy enough just tapping it around and, going for those tight victories. But, some of the scoring machines that they've got on that side, they've got a chance. But can they beat the Fijians, who at home have only lost 1 game since the start of Super Rugby, or I believe it's like 8 of their last 9 victories at home? It's going very well. The only side to beat them was the Blues, fun fact. Tim told me that, because, of course, he's a Blues boy. But, yeah, do you see them being able to pull off the upset in this game?
Look, for me, that game is a pick'em. It's a 50-50. I think talent, if it was in Fiji, it's Fiji every day. And if the Fijians get a head full of steam and they start playing Fijian rugby, start flinging the ball about, and are able to play that type of game that other teams just can't live with, it's the Fijians winning. Whether they're going to play it, what time is the game?
It's going to be the 9:35 p.m. New Zealand time. So a late one for the Fijians.
Starting to get a bit cold in Melbourne now. They don't like the cold. It's not going to be pleasant. There's been a lot of rain over there as well. If it's a raining cold night, you definitely go the Rebels. If it's a fine balmy evening, give it to the Fijian Drua. But it's really a pick'em for me. But I'm going to go Rebels.
Alrighty, I'm going to take a gamble here, and
gamble.
I am going to go with the Fijian
Roll
Drua.
that dice. Oh,
that looks like something else. Yeah, that looks like something very different.
There's no way that you can do this. This way, I'm jacking off someone to the right of me, and then this way, it looks like I'm fucking cock. So it's how do you do it that makes
that looks like you've done that. You know that trick that people talk about, how you sit on your hand so that it goes numb? That looked like what you were doing there.
The old Dutch rudder. No.
Is that what it's called?
No, do you know what a Dutch rudder is? We talked about Dutch rudders before.
You told me off a stream before, I think.
Yes. Would you like to know on the stream what a Dutch rudder is?
I'm a bit concerned now, but go on. I might have to censor
it. What is it? You're meant to... Yeah, so you sit on your hand, right? And you get it numb. Yeah. You get it numb. And then you go to check off. But you get a friend, a buddy, to work your arm for you. So they're working it like a rudder. You see? They work the arm for you.
The old butter tune, eh?
Yeah, so your hand is dead. So it feels like it's not your hand. And somebody else is working the arm. So you're just like, and you might be working someone else's arm. They're working your arm, and everyone's happy. At the end of the day. So
I mean, I don't want to sound a little bit.
Prudish.
You might as well just get them to do it at that point if you're going to go through all that. That's kind of the next level.
You're like, what are we doing here? Just check me off. Is that what you mean?
I guess so. Yeah, you said it, but I said it too. So we both went with the Blues as well on game number 1, just to clarify.
Yeah, there you go, Tim. We went with the Blues. Is Tim thinking to himself, what are they doing to my precious podcast? When you guys do it, you talk through the games in a very this game, don't you? We're a little bit more.
Bit, yeah. We're all over the place, but I feel like, if anyone's got a short attention span, this is probably the best case for them, because we've talked about 150 different topics at this 100%, point. 100%. And we're only about 15 minutes in. And we'll get back to golf, of course, at the end. Just
I hope so.
Round us off.
So. What's your course called?
Waimate. It's just the local one. What course did you play in Fiji, out of curiosity?
I played. I can't even remember the name of the bloody course. It was on Yanutha Island. It was part of the Shangri-La sort of resort. Essentially, it was just a 9 holes.
Ah, okay. See, my dad actually went to Fiji to play in a golf tournament, and he played a few of the courses around
Oh,
the area.
is he quite a sharp golfer, is he?
He goes all right. He gets it around. He hits it further than me, as you'd expect. He's a tank. He's got a bit of
Yeah.
muscle about him. Whereas I'm
Yeah.
called a stick. I don't
Yes.
really.
Sticks and what do they call them? Sticks and what have you called if you're a bit more round? Sticks and barrels? Sticks and
I keep on thinking of snakes and ladders, but that's not it.
So your dad, how's your dad in the rough?
See, it depends on the time of year. Because he recently played in another thingy, like on a Saturday, kind of like a competition type thing, and they were playing off dirt for the fairway. So that wasn't great, Didn't
I
enjoy
don't mind
that.
the rough. I like the first cut. I really like being. I almost prefer the first cut than being on the fairway. Like if you're on a course with hard fairway, it's actually hard to get under the ball a little bit, and I find myself a lot of towing the ball, thinning it, and then with a little bit of rough underneath, you can get under, get it to stop on a dime a little bit more, get a little bit more backspin on it. It's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. God, I'm glad we're talking about golf. This is great.
All I'm thinking of now is like next time the New Zealand Open's on, we got to do like a combined live stream, don't we? We're just gonna watch golf for like 10 hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we should, 100%.
Jumping into the third of the 4 games of Super Rugby now, it's going to be the Chiefs versus Moana Pacifica, and this is a little bit similar to the Blues versus Western Force, isn't it? I feel like
it's hard, man. It's hard to get up for these games because you kind of know who's going to win them. It's the Chiefs. It's Chiefs all day. Strike me down, put a freaking fork up my ass if the Moana Pacifica get the victory in the weekend. They're not going to win that game, are they?
Probably not, but I don't think we need forks involved in it. I feel like what you do in your spare time's up to you. But for me, I will not be forking myself because I think that this game, I hope anyway, that the Chiefs are going to fire back, although they've made some big changes in their back line. Of course, they've got Damian McKenzie back at 10. They don't have Sean Stevenson. Instead, it's going to be a Tino Nanasatoro, who is going to be...
Is Shooter, is that a force change or is that a squad change?
I want to say that it's a resting him change, but I could be wrong there. But just looking through at a few of the other guys that they've rotated a little bit, it seems like it's kind of you play one game, you miss one game. So I think definitely up against, no offense to Moana Pacifica, but a game that you should be able to test your depth a little bit. You're seeing about 5 or so new names across the 15. So I think it's just more of a rotation.
What's Shooter's chances of making the ABs this year? What do you reckon?
I think that with the fact that Will Jordan's unavailable, they're probably a little bit higher. And now, of course, we've recently found out that there's a massive gap at 9 with Roy Gar being out for 6 months.
That is a tragedy. Plus. That is a bloody tragedy, isn't it? I was really, really looking forward to seeing him play. And I think that he's the best number 9 in the country right now. And Daylight is second. I think he is so much better than the likes that we've got. I think Finlay Christie isn't playing the best rugby we've seen him play. And I don't think he's as dynamic a player just in general. I like the look of what's the number the number 9 from the Chiefs? What's his name?
You've either got Xavier Rowe or Cortez Ratama as your 2 guys that they've used.
Ratama. He looks sharp. But I guess with TJ Perenara, with Cam Roygaard being injured, it opens up a bit of game time for TJ Perenara, who may be the forgotten man of the New Zealand halfbacks at the moment. And he's got a chance to kind of say, hey, I'm still here. I'm still a bloody good player. So we'll see how that goes. But it's a real shame. I was actually quite disappointed when the injury news came out. And he's out for 6 months. 6 months.
And that's hopefully as well. There is a chance that if it's a little bit slow, he could be 7, and then you're starting to get towards, you can't really select him for the November internationals if he's had no form whatsoever.
I think they take him on the tour, no matter what. Like he's an asset to the team going forward. Like you consider bloody Aaron Smith never had a effing injury his whole career almost. He was very rarely injured, and then we get this new guy. Oh, he looks bright and shiny, and we break him straight out of the box. We need to go back to Decker and get some more Lego. Do you know what Decker is?
I know Toy World. Is it like Toy World?
Decker is like a real old school farmers that closed down. Like it was Decker and Farmers, So it used to be like a general store for shit. Decker.
Okay. The name's
And
not
they-
the best, I'll be honest.
Decker. It used to be D with a triangle, E with a triangle, K with a triangle, and A. Decker. And they used to have that song, that chicka chicka, bomb bomb, do 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 bomb bomb. Do you know that song? That was
I do know that song, yes. And that was their theme song, was it?
Oh yeah.
Lovely.
It's a great song. That it's something orange.
It actually,
It's a great little track. That.
It's from your generation too, isn't it?
Yeah, I am a lot older than you, so I'm really delving into the 80s here. We're going deep. We're going deep.
So, speaking of going deep, we're going to have to go deep into the depth for that halfback position. Yes. Do you have your 3 All Blacks halfbacks at the moment? So you mentioned how, would you still take Finley Christie? Or would you go with someone like a Folau Fakatava instead? Sneaking?
What'd you call me? A
Decker. Yeah.
I would go Finley Christie, Folau Fakatava, and Cortez Ratama right now.
Okay. So you wouldn't get TJ, because you got to remember as well.
No, I wouldn't. I need to.
Who's going to lead your haka? You need someone.
Cortez Ratama looks like he could. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure someone can do the bloody haka. Who else has got a bit of haka skill in the team? Who's a Māori bloke? You need to get someone who's a Māori bloke, don't you?
Well, that's why TJ would have to.
Rico Ioane? Rico? He could lead the haka.
Yeah, maybe. He likes to really get fired up during it.
He's a Māori. So. Yeah. I don't know. Who else can you, I think it's going to have to be Ioane if you don't go anywhere else, really. If TJ Penara is not Penara.
It's type of bread, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, so because I haven't seen enough of him lately. We haven't seen him play for bloody a long time. And I know he's come on and had 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. But we need to see him for a longer period of time. And I really like the look of Cortez. I think he looks good. I think Fakatava needs a shot, needs some decent minutes. But all of a sudden, without Cam Roygaard, we've gone from being like, oh, we are going to be lightning at number 9 to being like, she's a touch thin. She's a touch thin, you know?
So for that game, back in the Chiefs and Cortez Ratama to get over the line out of curiosity. Of course, he's coming off the bench. You got it.
You got it. You got it.
You being the Kool-Aid man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's almost Macho Man too, isn't it? A bit of Randy Savage. Yeah. We've got everything on this podcast.
We sure do. We sure do. I'm sorry, Tim. I'm sorry I'm ruining your podcast.
I'm sure I'll get you back on in the future.
Yes, well, I was on once before, and to be fair, I was exactly like this. Yeah. Wasn't I? I was was myself. Okay. And what did you say when you text me and saying, do I want to do it? And I was like, yeah, man, let's make it weird. Wasn't that my response?
And I think we've lived up to that at this point. You know, we've done it. You know, we've ticked the box, said what it did on the box, and we did that. Yeah, you know,
absolutely. All right, is that how many more games? So who's not playing? The Hurricanes aren't playing this week.
They are not playing. Crusaders aren't playing. Also, there is no Reds, and then the Brumbies have got a game. They are playing the Waratahs. That means we've got one other side that isn't playing that I haven't listed. Oh, the Highlanders. They aren't playing either. So we've got 3 New Zealand sides that aren't in action for this weekend.
What's the reason for that? Why are we having a rest week? What's the deal?
The next 3 weeks, they've only got 4 games on each day just to, I don't know, do it for fun. I don't really know the reasoning. I think it's so that, like, player safety or something because it's a long competition. I honestly don't know. It just seems to be what they do. They did it last year as well, about halfway through, that they ended up, you know, having a bye week in the middle. Maybe it's to draw out the competition so that it's long enough so that it matches the rest of the finals. It could be that, maybe.
But I think the players were just like a longer little rest break between, especially the chess players.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, Super Rugby's lost its identity at the moment. It's all up the woo-wah. It's too easy to make the finals. Like, what I'm liking so far in this year in particular, the rugby's good. The product on the field is good. It is good. It's a framework around it that isn't the greatest. And what's been really good to see is the Australian teams actually playing really good footy. And I think that was been one of the arguments why they had 8. Well, we've got to have some Australian teams in it. I think there's going to be Australian teams in the top 6. Absolutely, this year. So I think the way it was traveling, Highlanders and Crusaders, if it was a top 6, they'd be sweating bullets right now. So, and that would be good to see. I love seeing South Islanders sweat bullets. You know that.
Stick me in Fiji and you'll see just that. But Brumbies Waratahs, who are you going with in this one, Tony? Just as a quick little...
Brumbies, Brumbies, the form team in Australia still, I guess. Who have they lost to this year?
They have only lost to... Have they lost 1 or 2 games? One moment. We're just going to quickly check. I know that they lost to the Chiefs badly. Is that their only loss? Yeah, it is. Only the Chiefs, the only loss that they've had.
And that was billed as a big game in the old Super Rugby.
Yeah.
It was Magic Round, wasn't it? I wasn't in the country for that, so I didn't see it. But that was billed as the match of the round, and it was a blowover, wasn't it?
Yeah, very one-sided. And to be honest, like after that game, everyone said, the Brumbies might not be the side that we thought they were, and then they've gone on to win everything ever since. So, they've got a good streak going. They're at home for this game as well.
I hope that the Reds bounce back. I was really liking the way they were playing. I thought that they were like on a real upward swing after the Thorn years. So yeah, interested to see how they go. You know what? I've got is that all the Super Rugby stuff we needed to cover?
That is all of them, yes.
Well, you know what? I got a mad hankering, a mad hunger. And I wonder if you can satisfy that hunger. And I'll tell you what that hunger is for. It's for something I know nothing about, but boy, I want it hard. I want some sweet sevens. Can you tell me about?
I was worried where that was going, but yeah, I can tell you about the sevens, mate.
I'm sorry. Where did you think it was going to go? You're like, oh, this is weird even for Tony. I
thought I was going to have to reach for some golf balls. I thought we were going back to the golf topic for a second.
Yeah, hold on. I've got some golf balls nearby.
You actually? What are you rocking with those? Some Callaways?
Callaways?
I don't got anything remotely. I've got a stroke counter, but that's for something else. Haha. No. It only goes up to 9, so it's always a quick day. I don't think I've got a golf ball over there. That's a bit of a shame. I've got a cricket ball.
You got a cricket ball? These ones are good because they're designed for distance. And boy, oh boy, I need distance. Also, it's got a high launch and ball speed. And these balls...
They can write anything on that packet, but depends on who's sitting them, doesn't it?
This podcast has not been... Can I confirm this podcast hasn't been sponsored by a Callaway yet?
Not yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah, any day now. But it's also got great feel and control. So the way these, when you read balls packets, you think when the way they sell them, you think I could never hit that badly. There's no way I could shank that. There's just no way with the great feel and control, high launch and ball speed.
Can't go wrong.
I'm straight down. What are you? Are you like a fade man or a draw?
What are you? It's an interesting start. I'm a little bit more of a, I get a cheeky little kind of left to right little bit on it, I was trying to work out whether that was a fade or a draw. I think it's a little bit of a fade.
You're a high fade man.
Yeah, not quite a slice though. It doesn't quite go that far, but I find there's one hole at our golf course that you got to hook it around the corner, you got to get it good, the old dog leg, Yeah. And I actually hit it like I'm playing cricket for that hole. I will kind of use just the wrist and kind of flick it around like Rashid Khan, who no one will know who that is. But that kind of works until I hit it into the trees. But then, second shot, get somewhere down close, chip it on and putt it.
It's a bit of club face stuff with the old drawer as well. Like I bought a new driver, and I bought a ping. No, it was second hand, but it was like $500, and I don't know why I need to tell you the price, but it's a G400 ping, right? And it was meant to be like forgiving as. And I was like using it for ages, and I was like, it started all right, and then I just could not stop hooking it. Snap hooking, just dog shit, hitting the ball like absolute ball bags. And then I went back to my old driver, and my old driver is like straight and pure now. So I spent all this money on this effing other driver, which I just can't get the club face right. It doesn't fit. The weight's different. Doesn't feel right for me. And now the one that I spent no money on is the one that's going well. Like it's a stupid game, isn't it? It really is.
It's a mental one as well, I think. Like a lot of people go, "Oh, just hit the ball," but then sometimes you just overthink it. What's the first thing you do when you go, right, don't hit it in that pond?
You hit it in the pond.
You
exactly.
can't avoid it. The pond gets bigger.
Yeah, exactly right.
We're gonna have to go golfing at some stage. I think is what we're.
Yeah, I know. I usually play about once a year for the last 20 years, but just recently, since Christmas last year, I really got the bug. Really playing a bit now. So, but I'm still shithouse. Dog shit.
I'll show you a clip after this of me trying to play a shot and I slipped over and I had it on GoPro. So I'll show you that after.
You should You should make some golfing content. There's a lot of good golfing YouTube creators, isn't there? Don't make it like you put more effort into it than you guys put into your bloody disc golf video, which was an abomination. I hate to say it, an absolute abomination. Yeah. There were some great moments in there, but just needed a little bit of glitter around the sides. It would have been great. That irritates me. I could have edited that for you, but an abomination.
I don't want to throw him under the bus, but that was a George. He likes quick and snappy kind of. I like the storytelling, drag it out a little bit, show a little map, and show them where you're going.
No, because it jumped straight in. And it was like, what are they doing? They're walking through a forest, and all of a sudden they're throwing frisbees. There's no score. There's no way to track it. There's no bet. There's no nothing. It's not a scramble. It's nothing. I don't know what's happening. And you guys just making fart jokes with each other for 18 holes of watching frisbees. Like there could have been something there. I'm not opposed to fart jokes.
Sorry, I know you love them. Yeah,
I didn't mean to get. I'm sorry. I got wound up.
It's fine. You've been drinking. It's normal.
Okay. Sevens. Tell me about the sevens, champ. Let's go.
Well, of course you're a union boy, and you always probably have been, with the little bit of rugby league thrown in there as well. But
I've got a problem at the moment, though, Hamish.
Just one.
How rude! How dare you, sir? Outrageous.
That's a bit rough, wasn't it?
The South Africans are getting rather fed up with me at the moment. They really are. I've been getting a lot of grief from South Africa because because they're quite. I just noticed throughout last year, whenever I said anything that wasn't the slight South African narrative, then I just get slammed by the South African commentators, and I was like, well, this is fun. So now I've really leaned into like saying things that I know would like press buttons on the South Africans, like, oh, it's a boring style of rugby, box kicks, blah, and I give them all credit for winning the World Cup, and they're definitely the best team in the world, yada yada yada, all that sort of stuff. But then I'm talking about how boring scrums are and all this sort of stuff. I've got a lot of South African hate around that sort of thing. They really dislike that sort of chat. But one of the biggest comments I get is like, because I genuinely think scrums are a bit boring to watch. They're not my favorite thing about rugby, but they say, well, if you don't like scrums, go watch rugby league. And that always sounds to me like somebody who doesn't watch rugby league, because there are so many other differences around the ruck, the breakdown, the phase play, that are, the amount of players on the field. The scrum isn't the defining feature of union, is it? Is it really? Is it the defining feature of union for you?
No, see, that's the thing. Like, it's come a long way in the past kind of 20 or so years in the evolution of the game. It's become a lot more prominent in terms of what happens because, old school, it used to be get your scrum down, the boys would go down, and then boom, ball's out. So it pretty much was a rugby league scrum. But, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because I know that World Rugby were looking at trying to change scrums, making it so that they can only be 30 seconds or so, and then they have to try and get them in, get them out. One of the teams actually recently, I can't remember if it was URC or whether it was Super Rugby, but a team had the ball at the back of the scrum. Ref told them to use it. They didn't, and he said, right, opposition scrum. You get the ball because you didn't use it.
Love it.
So, it'll be interesting to see whether or not any of those laws actually get passed for it to change. And I still, I can see where they're coming from and the factor of when you're so good at something, it's easy to think that the reason they're changing it is because people think that you've got that advantage, but at the same time, games need to be under 2 hours to complete.
Yeah, and I don't mind South Africa winning. I really don't. I'd rather we won, but I don't. I love the South Africa is a great team, and they're played a great, and they were a great team before the scrums had this sort of prominence. They really were. But just this whole thing around if you don't have scrums, you don't have union. It's certainly not the case. But the one thing I would like to see, instead of so many penalties and so many crucial penalties are given away and awarded at the scrum time, I would like to see free kick to the other team, and you can't take a scrum, because I know free kicks you can't take a scrum. I miss the old tap move. That was old school rugby for me, like the old intricate. Yeah, the old intricate tap move, that was great. That was fun stuff, really entertaining to watch. Good as it, but yeah, I can understand how they'd be like, well, we're really good at this. It's a huge part of our game, but it's not just about one nation. It's about it's about all countries, and it's about bringing it on for other new fans to come on board. But I don't think it's an attractive prospect, and it's not attractive even for some of us who are longtime fans. I love rugby league. I really do. I love rugby league. I love rugby league as much as I love rugby union in a lot of cases. But I watch so much rugby league and I watch so much rugby union. They are so different sports. They're not the same. Anyway.
Sevens, yeah. Every time we almost step in the door, it's like, right, we're going out to the street. We're going to just talk about something else. We'll make it short and snappy about the sevens, I think. But first of all, I did get sent a video by Rugby Itch.
Yeah, he would be dying for us to talk about sevens. He's in Hong Kong, super fired up about the sevens. Like, that's what he's there for. He's a Hong Kong boy. And he's like, sevens time, baby. Can't wait to hear my podcast talk about sevens. And like, okay, let's go. Let's do it. Sevens chat. Sevens.
Well, see, he is there, and he has got himself a media pass. So he was actually there today taking photos of the players and whatnot with their consent, of course. And
he's a fancy lad, isn't he?
He knows how to do things, old Tim. He gets things done. And he sent me a video with his sevens prediction of who he thinks is going to win it from the stadium. So we're going to play that right now.
Together?
We actually could, because I can insert it afterwards, but like I can still show you,
Hey guys, so yeah, I'm now at the Hong Kong Stadium, about to go in to obviously take pictures of the captains before the seven starts on Friday. But yeah, just couldn't be more excited to be here, of course. Sorry, I'm not on the episode, but hopefully, the Hamish as well as the Strap the Sports, of course, kind of entertained you in terms of what's happened across Super Rugby this week, as well as their predictions for the Hong Kong Sevens. I mean, for mine, if I had to give my predictions, I'm kind of edging my bet towards 3 different teams. I'd say either New Zealand, I would have to say either Fiji, because they just always win it here at the end of the day. But the winner, I think, the one who's the favorite, but I think who's going to go on to win, I think will be Argentina. So yeah, there you go. That is my prediction for the Hong Kong Sevens. I could be wrong. Hopefully my box do me proud, but yeah, I have a funny feeling that the Argentinians will do pretty well in this one. But yeah, back to you guys.
Back to us, Tony, eh? We haven't really discussed the sevens yet in terms of who we think will win.
What a champion bloke. Really is good. Yeah, it looks like I'd love to go to the old Hong Kong Sevens. It'd be a good time, wouldn't it? Be a bloody good
I feel like any sevens event, they really know how to turn it up and make it an atmosphere.
The Hong Kong Sevens is a bit special. It's a special one, isn't it? I remember the Hong Kong Sevens, the amount of amazing players that got launched onto the scene through Sevens, Jonah Lomu, Christian Cullen, Glenn Osborne. These players have gone on to be icons, and they got their start. Surevi, incredible sevens player over a long time. And then there are players like Carlton Arter, DJ Forbes. Look, I can only name sevens players from 20 plus years ago, but I'm really psyched about getting in, chopping it up about the big time now. But I know that we've been relatively successful. I've seen highlights here and there about the Kiwis women and the Kiwi men winning both tournaments in the same weekend. So as a Kiwi fan, I hope that happens, and that's what I'm backing. Go Black.
You're going New Zealand for both men and women's.
Men and women's.
That seems like a very easy answer. For myself, I think it's going to be a tricky one. There's a few top contenders. And also, I was speaking about your liking of rugby union. Michael Hooper making his debut for the Australians.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That'll be huge.
Pretty interesting one. I've noticed that ever since we've come back up, my screen's a bit broken. And you're playing with your balls, so it's a little bit of everything on
Your
on the
screen looks normal.
podcast again.
Your screen looks normal to me.
But
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry, I
that's
apologize.
all right, mate.
I'm
No,
very
you're
sorry.
all right, mate. You just cut me off, but that's all right. What were you going to say? You're going to talk about golf balls?
Fully cut you off. I apologize. I really do, and I feel like I should let you continue, but I've made such a flipping scene of myself. I have to continue. Look, and now I feel foolish because I forgot. No, Argentina. He mentioned Argentina. I wasn't expecting him. They're a bit of a squad at the moment. They're a bit of an outfit, a bit of a side. They're a team to watch. How are they looking? Tell me about the Argentinians.
That's the thing. Ever since the last Olympics, I think that was when everyone really saw what this Argentinian group can do, and they've got some superstars at the moment. You know, Marcos Maneta, Luciano Gonzalez, Jermaine Schultz, Gaston Ravol. You know, all these guys have got brilliant potential, and I think that they're going to be able to use it again. Like Tim said, I see them as a really good contender in this competition. In their pool, it's going to be Great Britain, New Zealand, and also USA. So, you know, that's a relatively tricky group, but I can see them getting out of there, and I can see them being overall in those semi-finals. I think for Pool C, you know, you got South Africa, Ireland, and Samoa. I think that they're going to be a little bit unlucky again, the Samoans, with how they rank. But,
what are the Irish like at the sevens these days?
They've been a mixed bag. Every once in a while, they pull off some really, really strong rugby, and then, you know, they can also finish about 9th in the next league. It just seems to be a little bit leg by leg, up and down. Yeah, a little bit of a roller coaster for them. But they've been closer this year, I believe, than they ever have been to winning a title in terms of a gold medal for a league. So, you know, there's a possibility. Maybe we get to see them do well.
And how the South Africans deal without scrum time dominance, or are they putting more emphasis on the scrum?
They're really struggling in sevens at the moment. They're actually, you know, if they make the quarterfinals over the last few leagues, they've done well because they're finishing 11th, they're finishing 10th. Really? You know, they've been struggling. But you look at their side, and there's a lot of class there, but unfortunately just hasn't quite been gelling yet. A little bit similar to the Crusaders for Union. I think it's just going to take that little bit more time for them to find that chemistry. And then, they should be better. So for myself, I am going to go without bias, and we've already talked about them before on this live stream. And of course, I'm going to be backing where you played golf, and that is Fiji. I think that they have got a good side. I think that they haven't got a few of those big name players that you would expect to see, such as a Joshua Vakunarabili, or maybe going with, you know, Filippo Bukiyaru, I think is also out for this league. But I honestly think...
Big loss without Felipe Bukiaro.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad, to be honest. You know, you get the hang of it. We'll have to get you on a 7 stream at some point. Of course, France without Antoine Dupont. So I think that makes that group a little bit more
that's a
up
shame.
for grabs. It is, but I also think that Steven Perez-Martin, the original halfback for France, has been doing very well. So, you know, like you're losing Dupont, but you've still got a class player who I think easily without Dupont could have still really helped them progress.
Is Dupont as dynamic a player in sevens as he is in Union, as he is in 15s?
I would say no, but he's got the potential to be. Like, he's got a lot of try assists, he's got a few tries himself, but I just think that he almost seems like at the moment he's looking more at the team rather than himself, if that makes sense. And that's a good way to be at the end of the day. Like, he will pass the ball if it looks like a good chance for him to score, if it means that someone else can.
I think it's one of the things, especially with the Olympics being dangling out there for some of those 15 superstars, there is a tendency to underestimate the differences between 15s and 7s. So you see like the likes of Caleb Clark, who, you know, big, strong man with pace and footwork, you know, he'd clean up, couldn't make the team, you know, and he came off like the best season of his life that year. So it's interesting, isn't it? It's like a whole different sport. You know, it's got more similarities, as many similarities as sort of 13s does, you know, league does with Union. You know, like, and it's not, you can't, and we've seen a number of times where code switches go between union and league, and they struggle, you know, going into those different things. And I think it's the same with going into sevens. You can't just expect to be like the old days. It was like, oh, we'll just chuck Jonah in there, he'll smash them. Like there's structures and there's all sorts of intricacies and tactics to the sevens game that you just don't see within the 15s game. Would I be correct, or did I just pull that completely out of my ass?
I think that's relatively, you know, to a certain extent spot on, because that's one of the reasons.
Can I ask a question? How do you be to a certain extent spot on? So to a certain, you're either spot on,
question,
or you're yeah. Okay.
I do that a little bit. I kind of double bluff them, or kind of still manage to sit on a fence, even when there wasn't a fence to sit on. But
you find one, you jab it up the buttocks. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that Michael Hooper, one of the reasons he hasn't gone on for Australia as of yet was because he wanted to really hone his craft before jumping in the deep end of sevens. And we are seeing a few players from the 15s world start to look at sevens as, oh, I could get an Olympic gold medal if I go down that route.
Yeah.
But I think that you still have to be cautious, and you still have to, I guess, know what you're doing. Being a great player is all well and good, but if you're caught in the wrong position in sevens, if you miss one tackle, the opposition scores and you look like a donkey. So you have to make sure that you're doing the basics right, which you do learn from union, but you've also got to adapt your game to being able to play in the sevens world as well.
Indeed. Look, I tell you what, that is some of the best ever sevens punditry I've ever been involved with. It really is.
It's
top shelf.
First too, isn't it?
I prefer not to mention that, but yes, like I think we really chopped it up there, didn't we? Tim, I hope you have a great time, my man. It looked like you're having fun, like the little sort of whiskery beard he's rocking at the moment. Looking like a little sexy bitch out there. So that's he's looking good. I'm just saying he's looking good. That's all.
Yeah, he's got a good beard on him. Yeah, I just didn't expect that to be the terminology you'd use. Use for him.
Sexy bitch. You know, Mark's and we're not recording our podcast this week. He's in China this week. No, he's in China. I know you catch every single episode of 2 Cents Gets Distracted, don't you?
I realized that I probably should have plugged it way before this stage of the podcast.
Oh no, it's okay. It's okay.
The link will be in the description as well for 2 Cents Gets Distracted, as well as Tony's channel, ladies and gentlemen.
I've got to make some content while he's away, don't I? I really do.
Yeah, you do. Because you've been slacking since the World Cup. I don't want to say it, but I've got to say it. You know, where have you been? You've been golfing. You've been spending too much time on the course.
Playing golf.
Not enough time in the studio.
I know, not enough time in the old studio. You know, you're right. I'm working on a couple of little things that I've been working on for ages, and I'll read you some stuff that I've written. You can tell me your takes. How's that?
It sounds good. Sounds like a great evening. I'll show you the footage of me slipping over on the golf course.
Fantastic. I'll show you mine if you show me yours. Brilliant.
Righty. As long as we're not talking about the balls, but nonetheless, we do thank you all very much for watching.
By the way, when I was doing this, I was trying to say that I was one-eyed. The way that I was just picking, when you were picking your team, you're like, I'm not going to be biased. So I went like this because I'm one-eyed, supporting the All Blacks or the All Black Sevens.
I didn't really know how your brain worked, and I thought you literally were just like, can I hold this with my eyelid? So I thought, okay, we'll just leave him to it while I'm discussing this. But
like a fucking toddler. Jesus. He's not hurting anybody. He's fine. Let him go.
Just let him play with his toys. He'll be right. He's being quiet, so he's good to go.
I think your mate George, you probably have to deal with a bit of that sort of stuff with George, don't you?
I do a lot of censoring with George, yes. He loves magnets too, so that's pretty easy.
Give him a handful of magnets and he's away, is he? Yes. That's great. That's fantastic. Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much for having me on this wonderful, wonderful podcast, the Rugby Recap. Of all the recaps I'm involved with, this is my favorite about rugby. I mean that sincerely.
Thank you very much. And cheers for coming on short notice. We'll have to get you back if it gets approved by the PA team. But
this could be the last appearance. This will be the last appearance. No, it's not. I'm not saying it's like, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tim watches this and goes, "Never again, never again. Which, you know.
Well, at least you've gone out with a bang. You've gone out there, you've given it your all. You put in an 80-minute performance, and now it's just whether or not you get selected.
Yeah,
exactly. You're going to be on the team.
I've done what I can. It's not up to me from here. Yeah, 100%. All right. Thank you.
We do thank you all very much for watching. And if you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, check out Tony's channel, as well as the 2 Cents Gets Distracted podcast, as you will get to see almost weekly, other than this week, podcasts over on there, talking all things Super Rugby, World Rugby in general, and you get to hear Tony pretty much do exactly what he just said. But nonetheless, thank you all very much for tuning in. We will see you all for the next one.